Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us in the wild landscape of Scotland. And once again for this adventure we're joined by the channel DJ, and today we're starting this adventure at this wee bridge here in Glen Esk. And just look at the beautiful scene that we're greeted with. This is absolutely incredible. There's like a little waterfall and stuff here that I've never seen before in my life. And I just absolutely love exploring places that I've never been. Wow. This is such a beautiful scene here, folks. Yes, look at the way the water's churning and swirling here. That bridge is almost like a postcard scene. Probably built way back in the day, but it looks like it must get proper hit from the high rivers because there's like debris and stuff stuck up in the fences. So here's an interesting plaque on the bridge here, folks. Dalbrac Bridge, rebuilt in 1953 by the 16th Earl of Dalhousie. Builder was Alexander Adamson from Lawrence Kirk. And just look at it, it's a beautiful structure. You can tell how it's kind of been freshly pointed with the cement. Wow, this is a proper spot down here. I had no idea it even existed. Look at this massive quartz stone that I'm standing on. Look at the way the bridge is built onto the bedrock. This is a cool start to the video, this, folks. We're hoping to go and record some like abandoned history in this glen here, but when we saw this little bridge, it's like, what a perfect start to the video. And this is a good way of getting across the river. Yeah, the way the water's foaming and frothing. Wow, it looks like Guinness or Coca-Cola flowing through there. I just love finding spots like this, folks. Even in the summer you could come here and chill out. Such a nice spot. It looks so deep though and churning. It would probably be dangerous under the water. Look at it down there. See the way it looks like it's bubbling up? It's hitting that rock shelf. And then even here it's just so deep straight away into that bit there. Wow, what an angle of the bridge that is. It's like we're walking about in a Scottish postcard, folks. It's so cool I can share extreme locations like this with people all over the world. Little bits of Scotland that's hardly seen, but they're so beautiful. And little bits of history like this hidden within it. They tell a story of the glen. I bet the person at the house was happy when that got rebuilt, because probably there was a bridge there before that got wiped out by a storm or whatever. If anybody comes to these locations, they have to be super careful because the rocks is normally so slippy with like the moist air there from the river. That's what makes everything so mossy. And you can see from this, like, there's grassy stuff sitting up in the fence, and the fence is totally broken. That's from the high rivers, which must have been recent. So on the faraway hill there we can see the monument, which I actually visited a few weeks ago on the video. And shout out the farmer here at this farm. It must be that Dalbrac. We just met him because we were going to go down through the wood, but then he says no, go down the track, because he's actually got sheep lambing just now. And this is why I was saying in a previous video up the glen, at this time of year you have to be respectful of the farmer and their animals, and if you go around like upsetting sheep, they can actually like lose their lamb. But no, the boy was really respectful and really sound, and he gave us permission to go down as far as this cottage and stuff and look at that. And what more can you ask for in a video? This is the ideal area we were trying to get to. So it's sound of him. I just like coming up here and documenting old historical buildings and ruins, and things that's like hardly seen and quite hard to get to, and this is proof. This is another one of those. because it's like genuinely you have to come right through that farm, which is like private property obviously. There used to be more bridges over to this side of the river, but over the years they've all rotted and fallen down. And this must have been an individual farm on its own over here, so it's going to be cool. We can document this old building, which must have been the house. I believe he probably still uses the sheds for farming, but the house looks like it's just old walls. Maybe tells a story of the old history here of the Glen, an individual little croft. And that's what I love on these adventures. It's something different each week. Sometimes it's castles, and sometimes it's World War II things. Other times it's old little abandoned farm crofts like this. And the landscape that they stand within is just breathtaking. The scenery around these places is just amazing to see. And see, when you've never been somewhere before as well, it's so special when you visit. It's always so interesting when you never know like what's round the corner. And sometimes if you have to infiltrate a perimeter, it gets the adrenaline flowing. So just check this out, folks. Think of the character of this. Now it's probably just used for maybe like the sheep and stuff getting a bit of shelter. But at one time this would have been a main farm here up Glen Esk. And it's often interesting just imagining that when we're here. The horse and maybe horse-drawn carriage coming out and into there. And then I think this has been a house that at a later time has been converted into a shed, because you can see how these stones are. But there's still, they've put that rail on with the big batten. But actually there's still the fireplace and stuff in here from the original house. Yeah, I love to see this. Each house we visit is at like a different level of decay. Yeah, this must be parts of what had been a house, or out of this house here probably. That's been some sort of like worktop or whatever. The old enamel. See this here, it's all built up, and this must have been the original like foundation here for the house. Look at the way it's all built. Probably back in the early days, maybe 1600s or whatever. I believe this is the original house here, and then at a later time this house here has been built, and then this one's been converted into a shed. Check this out, folks. This here must have been the site of some sort of mill. Look, it's got big brass bushes, you can tell, because look, they're not corroded the same way that the steel is. Wow. So there we go, like you can see it. There's been some sort of apparatus or a machine here driven, sitting spinning. Yeah. I don't know if it would have been water driven or what, maybe electric motor. Kind of what I reckon it's been, maybe a water pump. A lot of farms had like a wee electric water pump. Wow! Kind of what I've just seen in here. I believe in here is a vintage mill. There's a vintage mill in here, folks. Obviously, with the landowner and the farm owner, we come here with the greatest of respects. But I'm just wondering. Oh, look! Look, here's the mill, folks. But look, here's where the original drive came in through the wall. Look at that. That's a similar sort of bracket to what we just saw. And just check the mill. Because that's like what the modern combine's got all that inside it. Okay, and this is basically taking the grain off the straw. Wow, I love seeing stuff like that. See how it's like a sieve, and as it moved, the grain would fall through. And it kind of moves in that rotation, so it's like wiggling and shifting it. And most of them that we see is not in this great condition. This one's in super good condition. Yeah, over the years, buildings like this just get abandoned as the sheep and stuff run in through. Kind of obviously it fills up with the sheep doo-doos. Wow, that's so interesting to see though, that old barren mill. I love finding stuff like that. It's a bit of farming technology, which would have been the equivalent of a brand new big modern tractor on the farm. I bet when the farmer got that installed, he was chuffed as anything. So that makes me think, what's at the other side of that wall? Maybe once we look at this though, we should maybe go around that way and back up.
Aye.
So from the stonework, you can tell this building here is actually a lot older than this one here. Again, the way they constructed things like changed over the years. Yeah, look at it here. This must be the field down there. He was saying the sheep are actually lambing these 3 fields. but he says we're okay to go as far as this. Oh, this house is burnt down. This is the old bathroom at this corner, but I can see how charred all the door frames and stuff are. Wow, so that's what happened to this place. Each of these houses we visit's got a different story of the reason it was abandoned and why it was abandoned, and it looks like this one has had like electricity and stuff. And this house here was probably 1900s, and it looks like it's built with granite. Would you agree? Is that not granite? Which doesn't look like the other houses over here and stuff. Yeah, it's been a farmhouse and it's burnt down, unfortunately. And that's like what we've seen a lot of. Like, I've seen over the years a lot of houses which have burnt down and perished, and sometimes they're just never rebuilt. Look, it's got this little fireplace here with the cast iron. Wow, it's the character of the abandoned decay, folks. Yeah, it's been a proper built house with the sash windows. Maybe the living room at that end with the wee bedroom up the stair.
Aye, well this is the dividing wall, eh?
Yeah, and I think it looks like that's maybe been converted at a certain time with the red stone. Again, what it could be, they've added this wall in when they've added a bathroom, because maybe originally the toilet was outside. A lot of the time at farms they just had an outhouse or whatever. Look, there's a racing steering wheel off a car. It's like off the old MGs or whatever, they had a steering wheel like that. Wow, what a place, folks. And sometimes on the bricks it had the maker on them, but I didn't see anything on these. Yeah, that's been the bathroom there. You can see there's been a sink at this side of the wall, look. Yeah. The bath's been at the other side. But I think there's evidence of a sink there as well. That little bracket. But you can... Oh, aye. You can see the charring on everything, which shows it's been an internal fire. Whoa, the wind's blowing super strong sometimes out there. Gusts. It must have had like cupboards and that in those walls. It's crazy that door frame's still standing. Yeah. It's like the charred wood often like can stand the rain better than the standard wood. Oh aye, this little sink here. Yeah, that is strange, yeah, how it's out here. And then you can see how much the ground's built up, considering how low down all that is. All the years that pass, the vegetation builds up and dies, and before you know it, the ground just totally builds up around a place like this. And look, this has been the original old house here, I believe. Check out the blue colour that still remains on the door. Oh look, there's an old gearbox out of a car in here. See, I believe this has been used as a garage for the longest time. Yeah, look, they've moved the rafters higher up, the beams, so they could get a bigger machine in. Maybe a wee grey Fergie or an old Fordson Major. I love the way it's all painted blue like that. And just think when the house was here, eh? Like when it was a house. Look at the old fire, the old cast iron with the detail of the casting. I can see there's been sheep in here from the kind of greasy stains that's at that height. They've probably been snuggled in here on a cold, windy night out here on the hill. Wow, that's so special. Just think about the old clock or whatever that may have been sitting up there. Think about the conversations that may have been had in a place like this. Yeah, is that no the front end of a Mini?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it is. What do you call it? A Mini Clubman? No. What do you call that type again? A 1275 GT?
Aye.
Get in the comments, folks. Who remembers this style of Mini? If it is the Mini, there was a lot of old cars that looked kind of similar, eh? It could have been anything. Yeah, it could have been something. Oh, that looks like the Leyland badge, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. It's fiberglass. So that shows somebody was actually into tuning their cars. We've seen the steering wheel, the gearbox. Oh, the old radiator.
Whatever this is.
Yeah, that's like an old lamp. Maybe like a ploughing lamp or something. Oh look! What is this, folks? Patents. I think that means patents or something. Billings, something. Yeah, it's been part of a machine anyway. Wow. Interesting, those little nuggets. You can imagine where the individual like walls had been in a place like this. And then it's probably, originally they probably had a little like upstairs area before those beams got replaced.
Check that
Oh, I look, an old door. That's off it's off a
door.
Duncan cab though for a tractor.
Oh,
Cause see that shape of window?
yeah.
That's for a Duncan cab, and see how it's red? It's probably been a Massey or an International. And look at this thing here, it's an old starting handle or whatever for an engine, or a handle for pumping. It's like a bit of a jack. Yeah, I can what that is. That's the lower front cab window that you would be looking out down where the clutch pedal and that is. That is. So there's been old vintage equipment in here, maybe like a Massey Ferguson or International, or it's been a red tractor anyway by the looks of it. And then look at the years of different colours on the wall. Sometimes that was all they had, and then later on they would line it with wood kind of as the years progressed. And just check how these windows are still here. Imagine that, you're at your window looking out, see how the weather is, and that's your view. It's just a beautiful scene out here.
Is that an exhaust?
Oh aye, there is an exhaust system there, a full system. It's so narrow and small, it shows it's for an old vintage car like. And then here's been the old front door. Just imagine the boy coming out here when he's away to do his day's work out on the wild Hal. All weathers, all conditions, they would still have to go out and work. The graft. And just look at that, it's a massive chunk of, that looks like granite as well. And it's pretty worn for the boy's boots over the years walking out over it as he's working. But yeah, what an interesting place it has been to see. I'm wanting to look up the far side of that wall and see if there's any evidence of where the drive for the mill was coming in. There's maybe been either a water wheel there or an area which was powered from a horse walking around, turning a mechanism. See, this would have been right enough if the mill was in here, that makes sense. There's an opening here for them throwing the straw in and stuff off the cart, which would be sitting here. Throw it in up, and then the boy would put it down into the mill. What are you seeing?
The size of that shovel head.
Oh, that's a special shovel though, is it no? For cutting peat or whatever? Is it no? That's how it's one-sided like that, I believe. Or it's for cutting something. It's a special peat shovel, I think, or a special shovel. Yeah, imagine the cows and stuff back in the day standing in these byres. Look at the old feeders and that on the faraway wall. But a shed like this is still good, like the sheep will still be getting a good bit of protection. Oh aye, check this out folks, the old sheep shears. They're actually caught in the string. Look at this. That's what they used to do, like.
There's an apple.
See with this though, I'm not wanting to lay it there because the sheep could get it in their feet. So we'll put it away there so that the points are out of harm's way. Yeah, I love seeing just the old farm history like that, how it's changed. Look at the way the cast iron pillars are supporting that beam. Look at the way the beam's joined there.
Yeah.
Look, it's like a slant, but then it's got that peg in the middle. Sometimes the craftsmanship has changed so much since these places were put together. It's interesting to see what they did. With little details like that, joining the pillar, joining the beam. Wow, folks, real interesting history right there. So here's an interesting point. We've come around the back of the mill shed here, folks, and look, you can see the way there's an old lathe been under the ground here, leading off back down there.
Is this where the old water?
No, I believe that'll be where the lathe comes out. The lathe will be that deep. The water wheel would have been there behind the shed.
something there.
Oh, aye. Here, you're right then. Wow. So how would the water wheel be away down here though? When the mill's away up there? Not unless there was a separate shed with a mill. This is interesting, folks. I was saying...
There's been something bolted here.
Yeah, 100%. This could be really, really deep down
I
in.
know.
Look at the old wheel for the old cart. See, I was thinking this is where the lead would be coming along, like after it had been to the water wheel. But you can see here, there's been something serious mounted.
Yeah. Come over.
And then look up here as well though.
Yeah.
So for sure, there's been a wheel here of some sort, or a generator. Wow, that is so interesting to see. And like we've seen on other adventures, a lot of this sort of thing got used as a midden. See this pit? It's so much bigger than how it appears now. And sometimes they were so deep.
On both sides of this. What the fuck? I think it's a strap.
Oh, aye. Yeah, it's a proper heavy, like, bracket. Look, there's a cast piece been there.
Yeah.
That's part of what was ever, like, whatever was bolted there. Maybe if there was big metal pieces, it's all been scrapped. And then you can imagine under here, the water must have been flowing. See, I was thinking that the wheel pit must have been here because the mill was in here. But, like, that's 100% been a wheel shed or a wheel. So, like, surely they didn't have a flat belt system all the way from there.
Yeah, no way.
But then look, here's the evidence here of that.
This could be a newer one.
Maybe, oh look, there's been double.
What?
Yeah, so it's maybe had different mills at different times. It's so interesting that's down there, but that's maybe ancient. That's maybe an ancient wheel that's down there, folks. And then these are maybe a later addition. In the top, you can see they've got a little oiling hole where you would lubricate it. As it was working, you would squirt the oil can in there. And most mechanical things have got that. Look, there's a wee strap there, a wee copper bit. Wow, I love to see that, folks, and it's been so interesting to get our heads around history here. Something we've never seen, and it like, Ken, often there's more questions than answers, but it's interesting to see what we've seen today. And we're kind of at the opposite side of the river from the lime kiln that you may have seen in the last video. I can actually see it over the glen. And see, the reason that these old walls at these farms are rounded like this and curved, it's so the sheep, when they're trying to round them up, can't go into the corner. Normally that's a sign that it's been used for animals when it's like that. And I love the way it's all constructed. It curves around, and yeah, the way it looks on the land. These old walls are so cool. Here's another bit of an implement or a machine. Crazy years of farming history, folks, uncovered on the channel once again. Obviously, whatever time of year you come to a place like this, you have to be respectful, like the farmer and the landowners who are making their living from these places even to this day. Right here we are seeing the history of an old farm which is gone and forgotten, but the land and buildings here are actually still owned by the current farmer who's, again, still working hard to make a living for here. And that's how we're respectful on these videos, to document the heritage of the Scottish history, but also respect the current people who are managing and looking after the land. It's so interesting to keep just telling the story of this history. There's always just so much to be found. Check this out, folks. This is one little last bit that we didn't look in. Look at the old feeders and stuff. They've all fallen off the wall. But the boy would have probably come in here to load up these cow feeders as well. This is the back of that shed that we looked in. So interesting how all that's made of wood, whereas nowadays it would all be cement. It's like travelling back in time when you come to a place like this. Look at the way the stones is all built. It's like walking about in a postcard. Look at the wee feeding troughs.
Yeah. Water supply going to them.
Yeah, it would have been proper troughs. Look at that, folks. Real history right there. That's where they would have been getting a drink. Right folks, that's been a cool adventure. We've documented another bit of history that we had never seen on the channel before, and at least now if some of this falls down it can be seen how it was at a certain time, and the history is saved for future generations to see like how it looked. But we're away to head a wee bit further and just see what this other stone structure is. But I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with the next one. Goodbye for me, and goodbye for the channel DJ. See you soon, folks.